So I've been reading this Dome, All Path, White Clouds. It's the biography, the life story of the Buddha by Thich Nhat Hanh, Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh. This copy was bought by my beloved in Plum Village last year, I think. And I've been entirely consumed reading this book. It's a wonderful read about the life of Buddha, written in a kind of a novel way by Thich Nhat Hanh. And yeah, it's been really, really good book. There's really, really wonderful explanations given on sutras and teachings given. And you have a time frame of the Buddha's life as well, which is really cool. It's really nice. You feel like you get to meet the historical Buddha in this book. So this little passage here is about the ascetics who were doing the spiritual seeking of starving themselves and not wearing any clothes and different things like that, you know, growing their hair long and growing their toenails out. And they were approaching the Buddha in this setting. He's an older Buddha. He's in his 70s, I think, here. And they're asking him the metaphysical questions about, you know, eternalism and things like that, and asking for clarification on points. And it's beautifully written, this book. It really is beautifully written. This is on page 464. A few days later, another ascetic named Vakagota came to visit the Buddha. He asked the Buddha questions of a similar metaphysical nature. For instance, he asked, "Munkotama, could you please tell me whether or not there is a self?" And the Buddha sat quietly. He did not say a word. After asking several questions and receiving no reply, Vakagota stood up and left. After he was gone, Venerable Ananda asked the Buddha, "Lord, you speak about the non-self in your Dharma talks. Why wouldn't you answer Vakagota's question about the self?" The Buddha replied, "Ananda, the teaching on emptiness of self is meant to guide our meditation. It is not meant to be taken as a doctrine. If people take it as a doctrine, they will become entangled by it. I've often said that the teaching should be considered as a raft used to cross to the other shore or a finger pointing to the moon. We should not become caught in the teaching. Ascetic Vakagota wanted me to hand him a doctrine, but I do not want him to become trapped by any doctrine, whether it be a doctrine of the self or the non-self. If I told him there was a self, that would contradict my teaching. But if I told him there was no self and he clings to that as doctrine, it would not benefit him. It is better to remain silent than to ask such questions. It is better for people to think I do not know the answers to their questions than for them to become trapped in narrow views." It's really lovely, you know. So Master Thay has this great ability to put lovely words to these teachings, you know. I've gotten great comfort from reading this book. I'm sure many students of Buddhism have come across it. It was published in 1991 initially, and I really don't want it to end. I really don't. I'm really, really, really loving this book. This book is loving me. There's a lot in it. There's a wonderful chapter which I might do a video on in a while about emptiness, the Shunyata teachings, which just blew my mind when I read it, I have to say. It gave me an intellectual understanding that I've not had before, you know. But yeah, I really, really love this. This gives me a lot to meditate on, a lot to work with, a lot to reflect on, and it's definitely improving my practice, for want of a better word. Anyway, namaste. Peace be upon you all.